So we'd like to go for this exercise number 5, which is the program that reads a known number of integers using a scanner and counts the number of odd and number of even numbers. Assume the input integers are all positive. Use a negative number as a sentinel to stop reading numbers. Well, in other words, this means that I'm going to read numbers, and when should I stop? I will stop when the user gives me a negative number, right? So I will always read a number until the user gives me a negative number. When the user gives me a negative number, I should give him something. Okay, this is the total number. This is how many odd numbers you entered. You entered, for example, 5 odd numbers and 10 even numbers, something like that. That's what I'm going to display. So in order for me to do that, then I just need to prepare to have a scanner, because I'm reading something from the user. So kb is equal whatever. Kb is not, it's just my default name, but you can use any name you want. Scanner.system.util.in, sorry. New scanner system.in. So now what I need to do is that I need to ask the user to give me a number, and then I'm going to read many times until I stop when the user gives me a negative number. So how many times should I read as a minimum? The minimum amount of time that I should read 1 time at least, because if the user, after asking him, give me a number, he gives me -1, I will stop. And if he gives me another number that is not negative, 5 or 7 or whatever, I will ask him to repeat. I'm trying to show you that which loop am I going to be using. Is it a while or a do while? Well, in this case, maybe a do while is much interesting, because I need to execute the first time and then ask if I should execute again. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to ask, please enter a number, and then let's just put this in one line and then read that number. So I'm going to need to declare the number, which is an int, my number to read, and I'm going to read that number is from the keyboard, so kb.nextInt, and this needs to be in a loop. Let me show you something nice with the NetBeans. If you want something to be inside of something else, like this inside of a loop, of a while, of a if or else or whatever, you can select it, and then you see this light bulb here on the left. If you click on it, it tells you surround with what do you want to do. With the do while, okay, this is going to be put inside of a do while. So if I click on this thing, it's going to put a do while and the selection inside of that, which is quite convenient. And I'm going to repeat. When should I repeat? If the number is less than 0. So if the number is less than 0, I would like to ask another question to give me him another number?
No.
Not really. It's quite the opposite. I want him to give me another number. If the user gives me the number, it is positive and not negative, actually. Not negative means 0 or more.
But how will let him stop?
If the user gives me -1, is this true?
No.
So I'm getting out. Now the thing is, I would like to count how many odd and how many even numbers I'm counting. So in order to count that, I need to have some count, let's say even counter and odd counter. And both of them will start from 0 because it's an addition. I would like to count, so I'm going to add. And at the end, I need to do something inside the loop. And then at the end, I'm going to display the number of even numbers is, and then I display the even counter, and copy and paste for the odd. There's something going on, and I hope that the system is not crashing. It is crashing. Oh no, it's not. Okay, so I said odd, and here it is odd. But of course now it's 0. I need to do something to know when should I increment this and when should I increment the other one. And basically it comes back to the question that we did before. which is how to know if a number is odd or even.
Yeah.
So I need to put the equation. If my number that was entered, if I divide by 2, the remainder is 0, that means the number is even, which means what I need to do
Even count. Plus, plus.
need to be incremented. Else, if it's not even, there are no need to ask any question. I know that it's going to be
Odd.
odd, so I'm going to increment the odd counter. Now let's summarize. I read the number. I made sure that I start from 0, because if the user gives me no odd numbers or no even numbers, I'm going to display 0, 0. But if the user gives me something that is odd or even, based on the question here, I'm going to decide which one am I incrementing. Am I incrementing the odd or am I incrementing the even? Which means if I run this, I'd like to see, for example, please enter a number. If I type -1, what should I see?
0, 0.
The number of even numbers is 0. The number of odd numbers is, well, it should be 0, but why did it do this thing? Because -1, if it's not
Yeah, it will be 1.
even, is going to be considered to be odd. So actually,
Simple programming.
but also because of the minus is going to be included. So what I'd like to do, for example, I'm not going to do this verification until I'm sure that this is not negative, which means it's greater or equal to 0. Now, this is just a small fix for this special case when from the first time I put -1. If I put, for example, here -1 now, this is -1 greater than 0? No, so I'm not going to do any counting, and then I'm getting out. But if the user is giving me some kind of number that is positive,
2.
now
So
this 15 is going to be
the first odd.
the odd counter. So is 15 greater than 0? Yes. Is 15 divided by 2, is the remainder, is it 0? No. So I'm going to increment this. So this becomes 1. Now if I stop,
It will be only 0.
the number of even is 0 and the number of odds is 1. But if I keep entering some random numbers, but these are all odd now, or even now this one is the odd. What does that's not a good way to test, because you know,
Yeah.
I'm just doing it randomly. That's why very hard. If I read the number, okay, how do I know that this number is correct? Well, I need to count how many even numbers. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
And this one did not count because it's negative. So that's having 7. And 4 because I have 4 odd numbers, 1, 2,
And 3.
3,
And 1.
and 4. And the rest are all even numbers. So this is working as expected. Okay? So this is one solution to this problem.
There is another one.
Well, I might be using another one with just while, just to show that any do while can be converted to a while, but the opposite is not always true. I mean, while cannot always be converted to a do while, but the opposite is possible. For example, now, if I'd like to flip this, what I'm going to do, I'm going just to take this condition and put it here. I remove the semicolon. Did you pay attention to that? I removed the semicolon. Now, the only problem that I have now is that my number here, before, as you can see, it was like this, which means I did not initialize it because I'm assuming that the first time it's going to get inside, the loop statement is going to be executed at least once, and this number is going to be initialized. So when I'm asking the question, it's not a problem. But when I flip it to become a while loop, now I'm asking this question, and what's inside of number? Is it greater than or equal to 0? I don't know, because I have never put in anything inside of it. So then I need to adjust to that. How can I adjust? I need to make this condition, I need to put a value here first of all. This value, I'm not going to choose it randomly because I want the first time this should be true. So it gets inside and it will ask if it should repeat again. Now, what value or values can I put to make this become true? I just need to put any positive number. So 9 or 0 or whatever. Whatever you put, this is not going to be counted. Why? Because if I put 9 or 1 or well, any number, it doesn't matter. As long as it is positive, this is okay, because I'm just going to ask, is number greater or equal to 0? Well, it's 0, okay. Get inside and ask you to give you a number. So the number that the user is going to give you is going to be stored inside this variable. So what was before is going to be lost. We don't need it anyways, but that's now, this do while becomes a while. And it's going to work the same way. The only problem is that you have to be careful on choosing the right values, because if you initialize it with some number that you don't pay attention to, and then this is becoming not what you want, like here, for example, if I put -1, what is going to happen? Is -1 greater or equal to 0? No, so I'm going to get out. I'm going to ask the user. So I'm just putting some value that is going to, at least the first time, I'm getting inside, and then maybe the user gives me -1. So I'm just going to get out. Is -1 greater than 0? No, get out and then display those counters. Yes?
But now 0, it will be inside the...
Yeah, now with the 0, this becomes true. So I get inside, and I'm getting to ask the user, and whatever user gives me, I'm going to save it inside number. So what this 0 is going to go anyways. But we used it just to get inside the loop the first time.
But if I write 0 inside?
Now the 0 is going to be your value, and it's going to be counted as an even number. Because 0 is going to be counted as an even number. For example, if I type 0, it's even number. So if I type -1 now, the number of even numbers is 1, because that was the 0 that I entered. But notice, if I'm here, if I run this, if I'm here, that means that I'm here. I displayed this and I'm here.
Yeah, I got that.
Which means that that's true. That was true.
But does 0 counted as even?
No. Because, how do I know that? Because, let me try to see, if I type -1, now I type 0, I put 0 inside number first, and then it was only used to check to make this condition become true. And once I reach here, I'm still with -1, I'm still here. Now if I press the enter, hold on, I just need to make this stick here. If I press the enter key, now the -1 is going to be stored inside number. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to ask, is -1 greater or equal to 0? No. I get out and I come back here to the while. I need to ask the question again, is -1 greater or equal to 0? No. I get out, and then this stayed 0 and this one stayed 0. So if I press enter, the 0 that was here was not counted because I read another one. Yeah.
Now the while, it starts from after the 0, from line 23, and then ends in line 34.
Yes.
It should be, so I should close it.
Of course. You brace, you open a brace, you close it all the time. Because this is what's inside the while. This is what is repeated.
So in what condition that I can avoid to write
in one of the conditions that you can have something like this, for example. You see this one, this is for the factorial.
Yeah.
And I can squeeze it into becoming 1. How about just doing something like this? How about this? Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah.
So now I can remove this because they're not really needed.
But if you keep it as the first one.
Now if you keep it now as it was and then don't use the braces, you have a big problem, because
It's like the F station. It should be just one.
yeah, this is only this one is inside the loop, the other one is not, and then this is becoming an infinite loop because number is never changing.
Okay.
So yeah.